We have a number of explanations in the quote at the same time. The Assyrian Emperor Tiglath-Pileser II placed Saraban, that is, the Serbs, in Babylonia, that is, in Serbian Varduna, where, as in Elam, the Russians were present. In fact, they are the same people with the two names. Zervan is the master of the country, Serbon, at the time when Moshi and Rassi ruled the Chaldeans. Strabon talks about the Iberians and says that they are mostly farmers, that is, those below the Caucasus, and that they are in many ways similar to the Armenians and Medes, and that they are similar with Sarmatians. That means again Serbs. It is indisputable from this that Tubal and Meshech are Serbian tribes, whether they are called Moshim, Rashani, or Iberians. Alfred Maury says that the Tibareni first inhabited the southwestern slopes of the Caucasus and from there moved all the way to the shores of Black Sea between Trebizond and Sinop. It seems that they also had settlements in Cilicia. This points us to the fact that the Tiberians were mixed with other Serbian tribes in Asia Minor. The prophet Ezekiel connects Magog with Gog, whom he placed north of Assyria, and addresses him the prince Meshech and Tubal. From this we see the identification of Massageti, Geti, Mosha, and Tibareni. On this occasion, Alfred Morris says, "There is reason to believe that the people with these names were interconnected by nature of language." Herodotus gives an overview of Xerxes' army and says that Moshi and Tibareni went together under one commander. In Persia, they had the same provincial ruler, which shows that they are in fact one people with two names. Alfred Maury explains how the Persians had a habit of replacing the Semitic voice L with R, and instead of Tubal, they pronounced Tubar, Tibareni. It is a matter of replacing the letter Lama and Ro. Between Aryan and Semitic languages, it is difficult to say whether the Aryans replaced the Semitic Lama or the Semites replaced the Aryan Ro. In any case, such a substitution of letters existed. This does not apply to Greek, which does not belong to the Aryan language family. In this regard, Gordon Childe remarked, "Many of their names, Odysseus, Achilles, Pelops, can only be explained as Indo-European with the greatest difficulty and with raped phonetics." Childe is not the only one who came to that conclusion, as many other people have concluded, but they did not state it so openly because it would be considered blasphemy in the modern Western world. The author of this book came to the same conclusion and even broader and clearer evidence. It separates not only the language of the Greeks from the Aryan people, but also history and their mentality. However, the Greek language has suffered a strong influence from the Serbian language, as has a good percentage of the modern Greeks of Serbian descent. The Serbs in the Greek language created the impression that it was the Aryan language. As for the substitution between the Serbian and Greek languages, it was constant, and it is not just a matter of replacing individual sounds, but also syllables in changing and placing order of syllables. The Greek Tiberans are Serbian Iberans, and after them the name Iberia is both the small one in the Caucasus and big one in Spain. The Iberian Peninsula got its name from the river Iber, Iberis, Ibar. The river Ibar in Serbia has the same name. The old name of the river Marica is also Ibar, which the Greeks pronounce as Hebros. With this finding, we came to the final unfolding of the Iberian riddle. During the campaign to the west, Serbon took Iberians from Asia Minor to Spain. The prophet Ezekiel speaks of Tyre as the great trading center and says, "Jovan, Tubal, and Meshech trade with you." Tubal-Cain is depicted in the Old Testament as the inventor of metal forging, the first blacksmith. Amir talks about Alib's skill in silver processing. Thanks to these Halibs, the Hattush Empire was far ahead of everyone in iron processing. Birgit Smith believes that the processing of iron right here on the banks of Halis River began around 2000 BC. The Greeks named the river Halis after the Kalibs, but these are not the original Serbian names. Halibi are in Serbian Kalivi, Kalioci or blacksmiths, which is confirmed by the Old Testament with the name of Tubal-Cain. The river Halis was called Ibar in Serbian, and the first famous blacksmiths were named Ibrani, Ibarani, Iberi after it. That is how the Old Testament Tubal-Cain is in Serbian Iber Kalilac, or Iber the blacksmith. Birgit Smith believes that the first blacksmith, according to the Old Testament, was a Devonian founder of the tribe that Greeks called Tibarans, inhabited on the northern coast of Asia Minor. West of Tibaran was Halibi, whose name in Greek means steel, Halips. It leads us all to conclude that south of Black Sea was the first country where iron was mined and processed, and that the time of this discovery was around 2000 BC. Anitash, king of Hat, around 1900 BC, writes, "The prince of Purushkanda is submissive to my lordship. He brought me an iron throne and an iron scepter as requested." During the conquest of Asia, Serbian tribes transferred the names of cities, rivers and mountains from Europe to Asia. It was a constant change, and the number of transferred names is large in area from Dardanelles to Indus. This is how the name of river Ibar was transferred from Asia Minor and from there to Spain. The Iberian Peninsula got its name from that river, and Spain was called Iberia and later Celtiberia, which means Celtic Iberia, or more precisely in Serbian, Getic Iberia. In ancient times, Spain was known for its richness in metals, which attracted experienced metal workers from Asia Minor to settle in Spain. The settlement of Rasseni in Italy was at the same time as Iberians in Spain, during the Serbons campaign. Part of the Trojan Dardanians is also inhabited in Italy, south of Rasseni in Latium. Later, after the fall of Troy, Prince Enea came to them with his entourage. The Iberians, Rasseni and Dardanians are the same people, that is, the tribes of the Serbian people. Thus it becomes understandable what the Chaldeans said according to Bohardius, that Tubal and Meshech were both in Italy and in Ausonia. In ancient times, Ausonia meant Campania and more broadly southern Italy. Chaldean allegations accurately indicate the settlements of Rasseni and Dardani in Italy. Since all these migrations, two to Italy and one to Spain, came from Asia Minor, almost from the same area and from the same people, the Chaldeans did not distinguish between them. Ernest Rosenmiller says that the name Tubal was made by the Greeks into Tiber. This is exactly the name of river Tiber in Italy, which means that its name in Serbian is Ibar. Ausonia was later known as Oskia. The oldest letter of Osco, Rasen and Iber in Spain is in fact an archaic Serbian with very little difference between them. Some scholars, led by Bergman and Mori, were of the opinion that Madai and Meshech, that is, Medi and Moshi, thus are the same people. In fact, they are the tribes of the same people. As for the Mosha from the river Russia, or the Volga, they are later the Russian tribe of Muscovits, after whom the city of Moscow got its name. Boschar says, They called the state of Russia above the Black Sea. Part of the Morsha tribe was together with the Ibrans in Asia Minor and below the Caucasus. The oldest and the most famous Russian metalworkers were from the area of Muscovite tribe, south of Moscow, the city of Tula.